Hello, I'm JC and welcome to the Arsenal Box. I hope you're doing well. Today we look to break down the numbers and stats surrounding Martin Odegaard. Most Arsenal fans should be familiar with the player given he was on loan for 6 months at the back end of last season. But what we'll be looking to do today is understand the reasons for why Arsenal have decided to re-sign the player and to also get an idea of what you might expect when you see him in an Arsenal shirt for the second time during his playing career. If you do like today's video, please do hit that like button and also subscribe if you're new around here. But let's waste no more time at all and dive straight into things. Kicking off with the basics then, like we always do. Martin Odegaard is the name. Most of you should know that by now. And just 22 years old, born in 98. He does make me feel old for sure. A running theme really, if you look back at the last sort of 2 or 3 transfer windows now, most players that we are signing are under the age of sort of 23 or 24. A fairly decent height on the lad at 1.78 centimetres. And he is Norwegian, a full international and captain of the international team. So as many leaders in this Arsenal team as possible is a big plus. Now his position is midfield, more of an advanced role, a number 10 or an attacking midfielder if you will. Left-footed, and his contract states that it is all the way up until 2026. But that does include an extra year as optional. So it's 2025 with an option of a further year. And last but not least, a reported fee of somewhere in the region of around about £30 million. However, there are a number of add-ons and clauses which could mean that fee rises to as much as £35 million. Now, it wouldn't be an episode of the Arsenal Box unless I brought you some heat maps to digest. We've got Martin Odegaard on the left and one of our own on the right, Emil Smith-Rowe. And I thought he would be a very good reference point because throughout this season, they will most likely be battling it out for a starting spot in that number 10 role. However, last season there were occasions where they did both start together and players like Pepe missed out because Smith-Rowe was playing on the left-hand side, for example. So it very much depends on the system that Arteta wants to play and the opposition that we're playing against. But if we look to analyse these heat maps in a little bit more detail, we can see here that Martin Odegaard, most of his activity is situated towards the right-hand side. And the main reason for that is he likes to unlock defences with diagonal balls with his left foot. Now, Smith-Rowe, when we look at this heat map, yes, he did play on the left-hand side last season, but we also know from our first game this year and pre-season that he's very comfortable playing in a free role, if you will. So he sits in that number 10 role, and if he sees an area to exploit on the left-hand side, he's comfortable doing that, and likewise on the right. Now, both players can obviously play through the middle, but they also do their fair share of work in a defensive way, which in an Arsenal side you have to do, whether it's defending in your own half or pressing high up the pitch in order to try and snatch the ball off of lazy defenders, catching them out. But these heat maps, plenty to digest. Pause the video if you want to look at these in a little bit more detail, and let's get into the next slide. Some very interesting stats to digest in this next slide. On the left-hand side, we have a graphic which was provided by Crab Stats. In the grey, we have possession-based stats, red defending and blue attacking. Now, this is over the course of a season, so this is a comparison against the likes of players Bruno Fernandes, Kevin De Bruyne, those in an attacking midfield position. And we know that Martin Odegaard only played 6 months for Arsenal in the Premier League. So what's more impressive is the fact that he's in the top 99 percentile for passing efficiency and the top 92 percentile for build-up play. Also in the blue, we have deep completions at over 87 percentile and over 75 percentile for key passes as well. Now, I'm not trying to say that Martin Odegaard is on par with the players just mentioned, but he's very young, he's got a high ceiling, loads and loads of potential, and these are some really exciting stats to digest and something to look forward to. And we can certainly see here why Arsenal decided to re-sign this player. And this is further backed up by some of the numbers on the right-hand side. Chances created from open play since January 30th across all competitions. Odegaard with 26. Smith-Rowe, who himself only started playing in the first team from around about December that great game he had against Chelsea with 24 chances. Saka, 21, which is to no surprise. He's had a fantastic couple of seasons. Kieran Tierney with 19. Again, we all know how good he is down that left-hand side. And then some more notable mentions in that bottom three. The point being, this just further backs up some of the information that we can see on the left-hand side as to why Arsenal wanted to re-sign him. And it's really, really important that we have a player like this so we can unlock those defences. When you're playing against those Burnleys and those Brightons, players like Odegaard see things that other players don't. By all means, stop the video at this point and digest these stats at your own pace. But let's move on to the next slide. Here we have a set of pictures from two scenarios last season where Arsenal played against two different teams that were particularly hard to break down, especially in the latter stages of a game. Now, in the top left-hand corner, this was a game where we played against West Ham away from home. It was around about the 85th minute and it was 3-3 at the time. Now, this particular chance didn't end in a goal, but the point is that if we have a look at where Odegaard is with the ball at his feet, is a very congested, difficult scenario to potentially play out, surrounded by West Ham players, not a lot of space to find a pass. However, he does manage to catch Pepe, who you can see in the very top left-hand corner of that picture, making a run. And this sort of thing isn't always seen by players that we have in the current side. And in the picture just underneath that, we can see the ball making that movement into the direction of the run that Pepe is making to penetrate that defence, get in behind the defenders to create a chance. And honestly, I can't think of many players in the current Arsenal side who were able to pick a pass like that. And none more than the pictures that we can see on the right-hand side, which for me was assist of the season. So in the top right-hand corner, we can see in the right-hand side of that picture, Martin Odegaard has the ball at his feet. And going back to what we were talking about earlier with those diagonal left passes, it doesn't seem as though there is a clear-cut chance here to be created unless there was potentially a lofted pass that someone could meet with their head and potentially get a shot on goal. However, what transpires is in the top left-hand corner of the picture on the right-hand side, we can see Martinelli with his hand up in the air, and he manages to find that space in behind the Crystal Palace defenders. And Martin Odegaard finds that pass, a pass that no one else could see, Ozil-esque, if you will, should I dare. But he manages to find that pass. This was in a game where it was 1-1 very, very late on. This made it 2-1. We went on to win the game 3-1, funnily enough. The point being, this was the catalyst that made us win this particular fixture. And again, just going back to what I mentioned a moment ago, we don't have players currently who are able to see these passes and unlock these defences. Smith Rowe certainly has the ability to become that type of player. So again, this is just reinforcing more and more as to why Arsenal and Arteta wanted to bring Martin Odegaard back to the club. We are finally into the stats section of this breakdown, and all of these numbers have been provided by Opta Stats. They've not just been plucked out of the air. And starting at the very top, we have games played. We know that Odegaard and Smith Rowe only played around about half a season. 14 games with Odegaard, 20 with Smith Rowe, all of which in the Premier League, these stats. They both fairly low in their goal contributions. 1 goal for Odegaard and 2 assists, compared to Smith Rowe, who had a better contribution with 2 goals and 4 assists. However, he did play 6 more games, and you'd like to see slightly higher contributions in that section. Now, all of the stats that follow are over per 90 minutes from the 14 and 20 games respectively. And in terms of passes attempted in each game, it sits around about the same, with Odegaard at 51.6 and Smith Rowe at 45.2. And likewise, that accuracy, that success rate, 90.93 for Odegaard compared to Smith Rowe's 88.71. And this is where things change slightly because, again, going back to what I've mentioned several times throughout this video, crosses attempted in each game, 3.8. So nearly 4 crosses attempted in each game for Odegaard from those sort of diagonals compared to Smith Rowe with just over 1. And Odegaard is very successful in this department compared to Smith Rowe, with 27.78 of those being successful compared to Smith Rowe's 11.76. Chances created per game, however, very, very similar. Martin Odegaard with just over 2 and Smith Rowe 1.7, so just under 2. And they have 0.7 shots each per game, so around about a shot per game, if you will. So we can see here that Odegaard is potentially slightly the better player. He is older. He's obviously played more campaigns as well. He had a big season at Real Sociedad. He's been out on loan a couple of times, been part of the Real Madrid setup for quite some time. So these stats are no surprise to me. But again, it just reinforces we don't have a player that can unlock defences and be integral in that final third. And looking at Smith Rowe, he's not a million miles away either, and he will certainly start to grow into that type of player as well. Into the final set of stats for you guys to digest, and there's some very impressive numbers here. Not across the board, but certain ones that we will pick out. But starting from the top, passes completed in our own half, very similar with just over 15 apiece for both. However, in the opposition's half, we've got just over 32 passes completed for Odegaard compared to Smith Rowe's 25. And then attempted take-ons, very, very similar at 1.9 for Odegaard, 2 for Smith Rowe. But where things really start to change, and one number that did very much surprise me when I was digesting this information myself, is that 76.47 of those attempted take-ons for Odegaard are successful compared to Smith Rowe's 33%, shall we say. Those are very, very impressive numbers. There are plenty of clips online where Odegaard has managed to get around players and successfully dribble. It's an area that Smith Rowe probably needs to improve on if you were to just look at this on paper. However, if you watch him play, he's also very, very good with the ball at his feet. Now, we mentioned in an earlier part of the video that winning the ball back, whether it's pressing high or in our own half, is important. Odegaard is involved in around about 5.9 ground duels compared to Smith Rowe 5.5. And successfully, very, very similar, just over 53% for Odegaard and very, very close to 51% for Smith Rowe. Touches throughout 90 minutes, 65.5 for Odegaard compared to 57.9 for Smith Rowe. So very, very similar. They lose possession throughout 90 minutes. Very, very similarly, 10.4 for Odegaard, 10.2 for Smith Rowe. And discipline-wise, they are both very, very good. In the Premier League last season, neither of them had a yellow card or a red card, which is really, really good to see. Well, that brings today's episode of the Arsenal Box to a close. I really do hope you have enjoyed today's episode. We went through quite a lot of information on Martin Odegaard today. Feel free to go back and re-watch and digest the information again, as I do appreciate there was quite a lot to take in today. And as Arsenal sign more players, if Arsenal sign more players before the transfer window closes, I will bring you more of this type of content, as well as the match reviews, which I will bring you throughout the season. If you have enjoyed today's video, please do drop a like. It lets me know that you guys are enjoying the content. Subscribe if you're new around here as well, and drop a comment down below. I will get back to each and every one of you. It would be great to hear what you think of Odegaard, whether or not you think he will be successful, what you think of his potential, anything at all when it comes to Arsenal. But as I said, I really do hope you have enjoyed today's episode. I'm JC, and I'll catch you in the next one.